Hello, everyone. My name is Paula da Nova, and I'm an Ontario licensed wedding officiant. And I have over 21 years of experience. I've performed over 9,000 weddings in English, Portuguese, Spanish, and a little bit of French. Not the greatest French, but French nonetheless. And I want to share some of the tips that I can offer you to make your wedding ceremony preparation a little easier. Now, today, I want to talk to you about the marriage license. I'm actually quite surprised at how many people have no idea that this is either a requirement or what it's for, really. It's very important. This is a huge component for your wedding ceremony to make things go smoothly and, most importantly, to make things legal. So the marriage license in your respective province and in some of the states is what is required to make sure that you are verified as available for marriage. You don't have any marriages under your belt other than the one that you're going for. And it also verifies your identity. This piece of paper gives the two of you permission to marry in the province and sometimes states that you are in. So it's kind of like having a driver's license. You're not supposed to drive a car without one. You're not supposed to get married without a marriage license, at least not legitimately. So when you go to Ontario, for example, which is my area of expertise, you have to go to any provincial city clerk's office, which is typically located at the city halls and civic centers across the province. Once you obtain that Ontario marriage license that they will give to you in this magic brown envelope, as I call it, you can get married anywhere within the walls of the province of Ontario. Meaning, if you get your marriage license here in Ontario, it is not valid for any other province or territory across the country. So an Ontario marriage license means you get married in Ontario, not in New Brunswick or in Alberta. Now, once you have that marriage license, you have to remember a few things. First of all, you can apply for a marriage license at your provincial website typically. In Ontario, you go to serviceontario.ca and you can look up marriage license application. It will give you the application form that you can submit at the city hall or civic center of your choosing for pickup, and you can also select a date if walk-in appointments are not available. And keep in mind, it used to be a walk-in situation. Since the pandemic, they turned to appointments only, and they haven't changed back, and it might not change back. So keep in mind, you need an appointment, and during busy season, this could be a 3 to 6 week wait. So don't procrastinate. Why not procrastinate? Not only because you're in a rush to get married, but it expires after 3 months. So 3 months is all this license is going to be valid for. So don't be picking up that marriage license in January if your wedding's in November. I always advise to pick it up about 1 month prior to ceremony. That gives you a buffer. Now, we all plan that everything's going to happen exactly on the date and time that we want it to, but life happens. We never know when there's a tragedy or a disruption in life. So it's good to have a couple of months still available on that marriage license if, anything happens that disrupts your plans. At least you could still get married a month or two later. Now that you have that marriage license appointment, when you go in to pick up that wonderful marriage license, you do not leave that city clerk's office and you do not sign off on that marriage license until you have verified every little bit of information that is on that license. Now, what kind of information, for example? When you apply for a marriage license, they're going to ask you for both your names, first and last, any middle names, anything that is exactly like on your IDs. Your address, the names of your parents, places of birth, divorced, widowed, or never married, all of that kind of stuff. And it is so important to make sure that you verify that your names are spelled correctly, the date of birth, country or province of birth are all verified and correct. Because if there is anything wrong, even if it's your name is Michelle with one L, but they wrote down two L's, the database won't be able to find your information correctly in order to get a certificate after you get married. So double, triple check. Once you verify everything is completely correct and matches your ID, sign off on it, walk out with it. If there are any mistakes while you're there at City Clerk's office, no panic. You just say, hey, you misspelt my name. Or no, I was born in Hong Kong and not in Ontario. And they will strike it out after they verify, initial, and you're good to go. If those mistakes are caught afterwards, after the wedding, a little more complicated, a lot of phone calls, going through the office of the Registrar General. Try not to get to that situation. So now you have this marriage license in hand. What do I do with it? Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to hang on to that marriage license. And on the day of the wedding, you are going to make sure that your wedding officiant receives that envelope. This magic brown envelope must be handed to them prior to ceremony. If you have a day of planner or a wedding event coordinator, give it to them. It's their job to take care of all those details. Give it to them, and they will give it to your officiant. If you don't, make sure that you have it there on hand, or give it to your best man or maid of honor if they're taking care of all that kind of, payment and paperwork and administrative stuff for you on the day of. Then when your officiant arrives, they collect that from you, and they're going to fill out the documents inside, and they're going to transfer the information into their marriage register. So all of this has to be done prior to the ceremony. And once they do all that, they will put it on the signing table, and you, the two of you rather, along with your two signing witnesses and the officiant, will all sign those documents. And that officiant at the end of the day is going to take back the marriage license in order to mail it off to the office of the Registrar General to get it recorded into the database. And they're going to leave you with the second portion, which is the bottom half of the page, called the Record of Solemnization of Marriage. That is yours and yours alone. You must receive this at the end of the ceremony. And do not give the original to anybody. There is no other copy. It is yours and yours alone. Do not send it to apply for anything. It's just yours. Put it in your box at home or your safe, where all of your passports and all your fancy documents are. That's where you keep it. So those are the things to remember. And then 2 months after the wedding day, you can go to serviceontario.ca again and now apply for your marriage certificate. That marriage certificate application is super easy. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. And you know that you're heading in the right direction when you hit the button and it says, do you want birth certificate, death certificate, or marriage certificate? And then you hit accept and select marriage certificate. You're good to go. Because nothing's more romantic than your application page giving you the choice of marriage or death, right? I don't know. I think they should change it, but that's just me. So once you get that going, you're good to go. And you're married. You're married. You're married on the day that you say, I do. That marriage certificate isn't something that you need to get unless you want to get it. Some people get it because they're going to do a name change and they want to assume the name, take that marriage certificate to the various municipal service stations and and get all of their documents changed, like their drivers and their health cards and stuff like that. Some people that I know have been married for like 25, 26 years and they've never applied for it, and they're married. So it makes no difference. It's just a good document to have, just like a birth certificate or anything like that. So that is what you do with the marriage license. Very important document. You need to have it. Don't forget that it expires. Don't forget to bring it to the ceremony. What happens if you forget to bring it to the ceremony? And I'm saying this because it's happened quite a few times over the past 21 years. Now, we're at your venue. Your venue is 2 hours north of the city, and you've got 150 guests plus sitting and waiting outside in some beautiful country setting or a vineyard. And you arrive and you look amazing. And the officiant goes up to you and says, "Where's the marriage license so I can fill it out?" And you remembered that you forgot. Well, that's a big oopsie. And it's not to say that you can't get married that day. The officiant might not be able to say some legal things, but they could still perform a symbolic ceremony. The problem is that then you're going to have to meet with that officiant again after the ceremony. You're going to have to pay the officiant again to do the signing, and you have to bring your 2 witnesses again. So it's not that it's the end of the world, but it's an added expense. It's a huge inconvenience. And especially if you're planning on a 1 or 2 week honeymoon right after your wedding, then it's just a cluster, what. And you don't want it. You just don't want it. So just put it with everything that's important. People rarely forget the rings. Put it in the same bag as the rings. In the lipstick for the day if you're wearing lipstick. Just something that you are not going to forget, the guest book and all that special stuff. Put it all together. And you then are going to be able to have peace of mind, take off on your honeymoon, party the day away, and you're not stressing about anything. The other thing to remember before I wrap up is when you get your marriage officiant, if it's like in the provinces of Ontario where you live, where that officiant must be legal in order for your ceremony to be legal, please verify that they are legally registered with the province that they are working out of. For instance, I am licensed as a marriage officer with the province of Ontario. That license gives me a special number, and that is my registered marriage officer number. I have to put that on all my documents. If I do not put that number on my marriage license, it's not valid. Or if somebody is using somebody else's number fraudulently and they put it on the marriage license and they are discovered, it's not valid. I'm sure some of you have seen many reports on people that have performed hundreds of weddings, collected thousands upon thousands of dollars as an officiant, and they were scamming everybody. They were using somebody else's number, performing weddings, collecting $400, $500, $600 a pop. And those poor people had been married. Some of them already had children afterwards, bought their house only to find they were not legally married. Most provincial sites will have the listing of everybody who is registered within the province. There are 2 separate listings. There's the clergy listing and the licensed officiant listing. It's all the same, except some people like to look at the clergy listing if they're looking for something religious. Look on both listings for your officiant. Such as myself, even though I cater to about 90% of my clients who are non-religious or atheist, there's 10% that I cater to that are religious. And by religious, it could be Christian, it could be Buddhist, it could be Hindu, anything. And so I'm under clergy, even though I deal mainly with non-religious. So make sure you check both lists. No need for panic on your wedding day when you make sure you have your license, you've verified your officiant, and the officiant can also just share the number with you, and you can verify it easier that way. But make sure you get these things done. Your wedding day is supposed to be memorable. It's supposed to be fun. It's elegant. It's a huge a financial investment for most people. But most importantly, it's the beginning of your new life together. I don't care if you've been together for 10 years or 10 months. This is a whole new beginning. And the last thing that you need is to be stressing over administrative junk. So make sure that you have that license. You know it expires after 3 months. Your wedding officiant is verified, and you're going to have an amazing time. So I'm glad I got to share this with you, and I'm looking forward to sharing a lot more information. Look for rush documents coming up, a few of my fun stories in my days of wedding and great weddings, wedding ideas. And you know, I want you to send me requests. Is there something you want to find out about? Leave it in the comments below. You can also reach me at idotoronto.com and reach me through my contact page. Ask me anything. Any topic that you want to find out about, I'm wide open. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. Nothing will surprise me. So once again, I'm Paula da Nova, an Ontario licensed wedding officiant at idotoronto.com. Like, subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you all again. Thanks. Bye-bye.